What is up? It is my group ride night and I'm going to try out a couple new lights. The first being this O-Light that takes a battery pack, mostly for mountain biking. I think we're hitting some off-road, so I'll get to see how bright it is, but check it out. We got the lights right here. And then I have it wired, rubber banded with their silicone band things to the top tube. Haven't hit anything too rough yet, but it seems pretty secure. Then in the back, I have a radar light from Magicshine. So I don't have it turned on right now because I'm riding city streets. I know there's a car there, but I don't want it to annoy me on my way to meet up with the group. So I'm going to try and sync it up at the shop, and we'll test out a radar light and see if I like it with my Wahoo. So yeah, last night went well trying out the two new lights. Starting off with the headlight, the O-Light GoTorch X. It's specifically designed for, more like mountain biking, that kind of trail riding. Our trails here, it's February now, but it's too warm. All our trails are muddy and none of them are going to be open for a while. It's actually raining today. So I decided to take it out last night on a normal ride, but I knew we were going to hit some off-road bits and that would be a chance to, see how it performed under similar kind of situations to what it is intended to be used for. So it's one of those lights that is two parts. There's a battery pack and then the actual light. I was a little worried with trying to mount the battery pack to my frame being thin steel tubes on my gravel bike. I thought maybe it wouldn't stay in place. But it has really soft rubber on the top of the battery pack. And with they enclose a couple different kinds of really rubber silicone type straps. And the one that fit my bike, I put it in the front of the triangle. It was actually totally secure and, going off a couple curbs and stuff like that. And then when we did get to the off-road stuff, I never thought about it. It never moved on me. So I would be pretty confident with it being on a mountain bike. Especially with mountain bikes either having, usually some oversized tubing or even the flat tubing. It shouldn't be an issue with the mounting. Normally, I think I would probably, for me, just throw it in one of my bike bags since I always ride with bike bags, but I did want to try and mount it once. Also, you could see I didn't do a bunch of neat cable management. I put it on and just went riding with it. But, they do enclose some zip ties and some other bands, so you would be able to route the cable a little bit neater if that's what you wanted to do. Basically, you mount a ring to your handlebars or whatever you use wherever you're going to mount your light. And then there's a second piece, which is a GoPro style attachment, and you put another in. Both bolts are included, bolt through that. That was actually really nice because I just didn't over tighten it, and it allowed me to have the light so I can move it, tilt it up and down to where I needed it depending on where we were riding or what the situation may be. I'll explain it a little bit why that was really key for what we were doing last night. Laughing at myself for the idea of not turning my light on to conserve battery because I've got the biggest battery, the longest runtime possible. But basically it has three modes. It goes on in what they call a daytime run mode, which is like a real low mode. Then a longer press will put it into the higher power mode, and then a short press is just flip between the two high power modes, which is basically bright and really bright. I think it's 1,000 and then 2,000 lumens maybe, but yeah, just it cast a really big beam. When we did get to the off-road sections, it was so great. I mean, you really could see anything you would want to. The other thing for me is someone who hasn't yet done a lot of mountain biking after dark. As someone who's filming videos with a GoPro, it was cool because I'm able to light up the people that I'm riding with, and the GoPro was even able to do a decent job of stabilizing with that much light. So, of course, you need to let your friends know that's what you're doing. You don't just want to blast them with light. And I think that's especially important on your regular bike paths. And in those situations, I pointed it way down. Just with lights in general, you don't want to ride behind your friends and then blast them with a much brighter light than they have because it creates kind of this black hole in front of them. I have a friend who always has his light too bright, and when he's behind me, it's really annoying and I just move over. But just a pro tip in general, not something specific to this light. The light does... it's a very soft press to get it to turn on, which is nice, and big gloves and all that. But if you are going to put the whole light in your bag and ride somewhere with it, or I would make sure you unattach it from the battery pack because it would be really easy for it to turn on just by bumping stuff. I think that's less than an issue with a light like this because it's something you're pretty much going to mount to go mountain biking. It's not something like, I ride with my headlight not on my bike a lot of times and then it gets dark and I mount my normal headlight on there. So all in all, I thought it was really great. And, it definitely it's designed for something, and that's the way you should use it. It's really for that off-road, being able to see around. They did ask this is the first iteration, if I had anything that I would recommend. One would be, since you get such a long runtime with something like this, I could see people using it for like gravel races that go through the night, like endurance races and stuff like that. But another thing would be, it could become useful for touring if they made it so it could back charge like your iPhone or other small USB devices. I think that would be really cool because, I'm always carrying extra battery packs to charge my headlights. This is already there. So if you could also use it to charge other things, I think that would be cool. I think they could also offer a extension cable that would like make the light be able to be mounted far away from the battery pack. The use case I was thinking for this would be like someone who really is mountain biking at night, but wanted to mount the light on their helmet. Since it is a GoPro mount, like so many mountain bikers already have the GoPro mount on their helmet. And I know a lot of mountain bikers like helmet mounted lights so they could, when they look around, that's where the light is going. So then you would be able to run a longer cable up your jersey or up the back of your coat and mount the battery pack towards the back of the mountain bike. I feel like it's a little short for that right now. That would be a really simple thing they can do. But all in all, I really like it. Like I said before, like one thing to keep in mind when you have your typical road light, they have a beam that is designed, so, there's a little shield there and different, so it does not blind other cars or other cyclists. And that's an important feature of your everyday riding light that this doesn't have. So just being conscious if you're going to use it not on the trail that you do point it down sometimes and stuff like that. But that being said, I'll drop that one. This Olight's other product, one of their other products, the RN 1500, is my favorite bike headlight ever. I love the way the button pushes, just makes sense to me. And yeah, it's a Garmin mount on there, but it comes with mounts too. So it's just I just think it's a great light. It's the light that I need for the kind of riding I do most of the time. And this other one would be really if you are a mountain biker or, like I said, the other specific cases. I've just really come to like these more than the Night Rider lights that I had used in the past. So the second thing was the Magicshine radar light. This is their Seemee 508. I've been on record saying, when we've talked in the live streams, that I don't think I'm very interested in having a radar tail light, and have gone through the discussion. I'll get into that in a minute. But I don't like to make those kind of claims and then never test something out. And so when they offered to send it, I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to test that out. So I have a Wahoo Element Bolt 2, and that's what I connected it to. Basically, in the Bolt 2 menu, you just go to add a sensor. It found it right away. I clicked add the sensor. It gave me a little disclaimer when it first came on about the radar and safety and stuff like that. And then it was ready to go. Basically what happens is it puts a green line down the side of your color display if it's a Wahoo Element Bolt 2. But I think it puts a line down any head unit you would be using. And then as cars approach you, it has little car icons and it shows them and how many and how kind of you get used to the scale where they pop up surprisingly far back. I think it says 150 yards, but it's a ways, and it shows them approach you. It also uses the LED array at the top of the Bolt 2, which is kind of cool. So if you just want to glance, you could get used to the color pattern and the flashing pattern of that is how close the car is. And then third, there's also a beep that gets, I think, louder or more intense as the car gets closer. I hate beeps on my head unit. I actually have them turned off for everything, whether it's directions or starting and stopping, personal preference. So that's something I would turn off, but I could see maybe if you're in a solo country ride during the daytime, maybe that would be something you would want on just to be alerted, maybe a place where cars aren't passing you that much. So I found that it worked almost flawlessly. It never missed a car. And there were 6 or 7 of us riding last night. And there was only a couple times where we had dropped 2 riders for a little bit and they maybe crested a hill where it got a false, indicated that they were a car. But that was so infrequent that it was not a big deal. And it usually recognized it really quick as they approached. So and when we were riding in the woods, when we were doing the off-road cuts, never had a problem. So it never thought that there was a car behind me. So it never annoyed me. It was just a great, light. So my friends knew where I was in those cases. So the way it's supposed to work, I think it does exactly what it's supposed to do. I looked up the Garmin Varias, which would be, kind of the ones people are familiar with, very common or popular, I think. The one that I felt like was the closest to what this one does, Garmin has a number of them, was about $200, and this is about $140. So if you're in the market for a radar tail light, this seems like a really good value. Of course, I've only used it on one 35-mile ride, so I can't talk about the, how long the battery life lasts or anything like that. But with Magicshine and Olight, I found that their times come out to be pretty close to as they claim. Obviously you lose a little time in the winter, and they understand that. It says that in their literature and all that. But yeah, in general, just it does what it's supposed to do. I'm thinking like, who is this for? And I think it's for people who ride with mirrors. Like if you have a helmet mirror or a handlebar mirror, it saves you from having to always have that there. I know people get used to those and they're fine. But I think this is like kind of a cool something that for someone who wants to know there's cars back there, this is the best way to do it. And I would think. I just, I found that when we were riding in a group and cutting through the neighborhoods, and so cars were going slower and you didn't necessarily hear them, it was kind of nice to get that notification to be like, oh, car back. And we all moved single file to get out of the way. I think on long country roads, again, like I was mentioning, maybe you're daydreaming and it is just a little reminder, hey, there's a car back there. I just think like these are marketed in a way, or people believe that they add some kind of safety. I can't see that. I just don't like, if a car's going to hit you from behind, a car's going to hit you from behind. Like every time a car comes up behind you, it's not like you bail into the ditch on a country road or try and jump the curb in the city. So to me, it's just like, I just try and in general be aware of my surroundings and be a good, road user. And, stuff can happen. People do get hit by cars. I just don't know of being aware that there's a car back there does me any good to change my behavior to add any level of safety. So I am going to keep riding with it. I don't want to just, use it on one, like I said, 35-mile ride and say like, it's not for me. I want to try it a couple of times, and maybe I get so used to it that it does become something I really enjoy. I think definitely, though, there is a market for them. I do think there's a lot of people who want to be aware of cars behind them. It gives them a peace of mind, and that is totally understandable, and that's totally fine. I'm going to try it more, but I don't think they're for me, even though I give it a good review because it's a positive. I mean, it works, like I said, nearly flawlessly. I just don't think it works for the way I ride or just my level of comfort on the road. So anyways, the O-Light that I showed first, the mountain bike light, I do have affiliate links for that, and there is a discount code, and they are on sale right now. The Magicshine, I'll link it below. I don't have a deal with them, so they did send it for free, though. Full disclosure, both were sent for free. But I do stand behind all the O-Lights and the Magicshine lights I've used so far. I really like them, so for what it's worth. Anyways, that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.